This is the season. So we appreciate all of you being here in this very busy time. The whole point of our talk today is to get us grounded and ready for the holiday season. For some of us, we are in the holiday season, and for others, the holiday season is approaching. A little bit about me. I'm Dan Peters. I am the co-founder and executive director of Summit Center in Walnut Creek, Northern California, and we also have an office in Southern California in Torrance. And we provide counseling, consultation, coaching, and lots of comprehensive assessments to amazing individuals who are all wired in their own unique way. And our main goal is to help people and families realize their full potential, expand into all they can be, and live a meaningful and fulfilled life. And we can do that at all ages. The chat, we're going to use the chat today. My goal is to go through some of the main talking points that I think are helpful during this time of year, those that I use myself as well, and then have ample time for us to answer questions and interact in a meaningful way. So, are we ready? Everyone is nodding their head. Okay, so we're gonna get going. Okay, so first, this whole idea of presence. So a little bit poetic, right? Presence over presence. That term came to me as I was also reflecting and in the midst of presence and thinking about presents and buying presents and who to get for what, and the stress that comes with the presence at the holiday. And I realize how much it takes us away from presence, and that is how we show up. So what is presence? So I'm going to give you a definition of presence, and that is, it's the capacity for us to be fully here in the moment, grounded, aware of what's going on inside of us, and connected to the present moment without reacting to it. So I'm going to say that again. So think about this, because this is something that I want us to think about embodying. And my goal is, as we move through today, you can think about the strategies that we talk about that will help you get back to what this presence is for you. So again, being fully here, grounded in your body, aware of your inner experience, and being present now without reacting to what's happened. And we know that the holidays bring a lot of stress in the midst of the joy that we all anticipate. There's lots of expectations. There's lots of schedules. There's often lots of activities, gatherings, and family dynamics. I've never met a family without them. So what it can do is pull us away from how we actually want to feel. And you know how many times you have said, I just need to get through this party. I just need to get through the holidays. I can't wait until the 26th or the 27th, depending on when your family stops celebrating. We want to switch that. We want to have a way to be really thoughtful and mindful about how we move through the holiday season. So first thing, actually, and if anyone wants to, does this resonate with anyone? Does anyone have any of these? Put let's say a 1 in the chat for others to see if this is something that you can resonate with the feelings and the experiences that I have described. Opening up my chat so I can see all you guys. Yes, shared experience. Okay, so the first thing to think about is, how do we cultivate this presence, right? Now that we know what it is to be fully here in the moment, aware of our inner experience without reacting to it. So how do we cultivate presence? Well, it's through awareness. So one thing is to think about, what are the ways I get triggered? And for most, like, it's a pretty quick list, and it might be a very short list, or it might be a long list. But what we know is we have a lot of self-knowledge about how we react in situations that seem to be fairly patterned when we're in certain situations with certain people year after year after year. So what are your triggers? Think about what your triggers are. Also want you to think about, where do you overperform or overcommit, right? A lot of us are the ones that always step up, that always say yes, that always are not wanting to leave anyone out, not wanting other people's feelings to be hurt. And this can get us off of our presence. And we're going to talk a little bit about this when we get to the boundary subject. Boundaries are really important. Another question: what are you ignoring or maybe pretending to ignore because you don't want to think about it? Like, it's something that gets it's stressful to think about, something that is upsetting that you think about that might happen or has a potential to happen. And we just I just won't want to think about it. Those are the things to bring forward, because these are all the things that take us off of our presence when we're in those situations. And then related to all this, what's your indicator, your body indicator? So some people call them stress signals. Like, what is your stress signal that you know when you are getting activated and when you are off your presence? For me, it's my chest. My stress comes in my chest. It gets tight. And now that's the thing that I look to when I feel it. I'll feel it before I'll have an actual thought or even process the situation. So that's my indicator, my stress signal, to go within and ask myself, all right, what's going on right now? What is triggering me? What's activating me? So this is all about awareness, because my goal is I want to get back to myself in the way that I want to show up and feel present and not reactive. The best predictor of future behavior is past behavior. We all have had this experience. People often do not disappoint. Situations are often, we want to go in there a little bit with child mind from the Buddhist perspective, not that we know everything that's going to happen, but we also can predict that certain things happen because they tend to happen quite a bit in these sorts of situations. So your past experience is your best wisdom and intelligence for thinking about what do you need to think about moving into these situations so you're not caught off guard and you're not surprised. So when you think about this, this is for you, and for many of you, for your kids. And I know with our kids, who were always on the highly sensitive side, there were lots of different things that could get them dysregulated, which of course would get us dysregulated, and then have us worried about them getting dysregulated, which would dysregulate us, right? Not be completely on our game. So think about how much time do you and your kids need alone and not in celebration? How many hours at a party or minutes? How many functions can they do successfully? I always think about this back in the day with sleepovers or play dates. Something would be amazing until it wasn't. And it was how do you find that time where you can end on a peak experience before everything sort of melts? So we need to think about that with ourselves at these holiday parties, and the pace and the amount of people, and the expectations that are placed on us and our kids to interact and be polite and to be respectful and to participate. Think about, what are the situations that actually energize you, that you get excited for, those meaningful connections perhaps, or the fun celebrations, and what are the ones that actually drain you? Because again, there's consistent patterns, and it's not that you don't do the ones that drain you, but you have to be aware of, these are the situations where I am not going to necessarily be present or have my presence for too long. And I need to be aware of that. And maybe I need to go late, or maybe I need to leave early, or maybe I can leave early and the kids can stay with someone else. It's trying to be strategic. Yes, maybe stretching a little bit because there's some obligations, but not overly stretching where it has a tremendous impact on you, and then of course on those around you. And related to that is, then what is your exit strategy, right? What is the bring that person in the room. What is your exit strategy if you do react, if you get off your presence, if your child has a meltdown? have it in advance how you're going to handle the situation, so you can be more present. Because a lot of this time, and I know from our experience back in the day, there was not a lot of big surprises. Like things would happen and we didn't know exactly when they would happen, but they weren't huge surprises. And we had to think about, how are we going to do this? And there was the time when we would say, you know what, I think we should take two cars. So one of us could take one or two of the kids and I can stay with the other kid. And a lot of times we did not want to do that. No, we want to be as a family. We want to go together and leave together. Well, it just so happens that many of those times it would have been really helpful to have two cars. And the times that we did that, we had more options in those situations. And that allowed us to be more present in those situations than just worrying about when something might happen or when we might need to leave. Back to trusting your past related to going on your past experiences, using them, trusting yourself, trusting your inner wisdom, your inner guidance. You have feelings, you have intuition. You know when something is more likely to be easy to be at versus something is more likely to be stressful, versus who's going to be at the party and how will your kids react to maybe one, two, or three of those people. How loud is it going to be? What typically happens? Like, you have a gut feeling, trust it. Because what happens is we often go with our programming with obligation, like what we're supposed to do. And in the end, if we just do that and ignore what our inner knowing tells us, it often does not go well, and we wished we listened to ourselves. So I ask you to listen to yourself. Another question that we ask in our family, and it's been easier to do so as our kids have gotten older and older, is what would be a meaningful holiday for us? Right? Like, what would be meaningful for us? Not what everyone else thinks is meaningful, not what the family all thinks is meaningful. And there's definitely overlap, but what is meaningful for you personally, and you with your family, outside of whatever friends and family obligations you have? Because that matters. And what we learned is how we could take little pieces of what we needed, or create little moments or activities or outings for our family within the larger celebration or separate from the larger celebration. And that could be hard at first, because of the expectations that what you're expected to do and be expected to be part of the family. The bottom line is, no one has to deal with how you feel or how your kids feel but you. And then we all know, if we push our kids too much, then we often get judgment from others on top of when you're just trying to do the right thing expected of you, right? So think about, like, what would be meaningful for you and your family. And I suggest, empower, to have the courage to chisel away at what that looks like for you and to actually try it. So this also relates to boundaries. We talk about boundaries a lot in lots of areas of life. Boundaries are important. If we don't have boundaries, people walk on us, people mistreat us, people take advantage of us, and other people generally don't look out for your boundaries. Like, it's up to us to look out for what our boundaries are and to teach our kids about what boundaries they should have, right? If someone is always hugging and kissing them and they are uncomfortable with that, they don't have to do that. We want to empower them to set boundaries when they're not feeling comfortable. We have to do the same, and we have to model it. So let's think about, like, what are you okay doing? Where are you okay showing up? What are you okay bringing? And, like, what's too much? These are hard questions for those of us who tend to be like doers and pleasers and achievers, which I can check the box on all of those. So try to think about where you would like to set some boundaries, where you wish you did set some boundaries last year. Like, I'm never doing that again, or next time I'm going to say this, or I'm not going to. This is an opportunity. Every year is a do-over. It's an opportunity to set and model boundaries, which really is an act of self-kindness and self-respect. Like, you matter enough to do that, even in the face of all the expectations. Who's your ally? Like, when things get hard, who can you go to? Is it a partner? Is it a sibling? Is it a parent? Is it a friend? It's like sort of knowing who that person is. It's very similar, I think, back in the day when if you have a child who's anxious or struggling at school, a really important thing was for them to have someone they can go to that's safe, that they will be heard, and they can get some respite and some relief. Same thing for you on the holidays. Who's your go-to person? Okay. Next concept, recovery time. Those who are extroverts need very little recovery time, because remember, an extrovert gets fueled by social interaction and connection. It's fueled. It is the energy. Introverts, it depletes the energy. It's not that we don't like being with people and connecting with people, but it depletes. When we're getting low or have nothing left, we need to recharge. And so introverts need time to recharge. They need time to plug in. A book, nature, break in the bathroom, lock the door. Think about when you are going to get to recharge, because the holidays tend to be a time that really takes a lot of energy. And if one is leaning more on the introverted side and doesn't have that time to charge, that's a way, again, that you're going to be off of your presence in the moment and have a tendency more to react, to check out, and to even go numb at times, just because like you have nothing left. It's like low blood sugar. You just like do not have your full capacities. So 2 more things. One is another box that I check, recovering perfectionist. We talked about pleasing, we talked about overdoing, overachieving. Often a lot of that comes with a perfectionistic tendency. Think about where that bar is, how everything looks, how everything is planned, how everything goes, what experience you want to create, what experience you want to project. A lot of times the burnout comes from just too much. Like the standard is just too high. And for those perfectionists who are listening, what I can tell you, again, as one that has a lot of personal experience with this, what you think is good enough, is like just good enough, is still at a higher level than you think because of where your expectations are. So this is something to think about, is what is good enough? Like, where can you let something go a little bit that you care more about it than other people care about it? Like you're going to work really hard on something and do something, and it's not even going to be appreciated. So I know this is a complicated thing, and for those of us, this is a lifetime of a certain way of thinking and being. I'm throwing this out as an opportunity, as a way to maybe create some space and to give yourself some time and to take some of the pressure off if you feel that things have to be a certain way. There is good enough. Lastly, before we chat a little bit, think about what you want this holiday season to look like. Like what you want it to really be, which I know will be a little different than how it is. But think about how if you could plan everything the way you wanted it, do everything or not do everything the way you wanted it, be a part of everything or not be a part of anything, or be right in the middle. Think about what that actually looks like for you. Because my experience is you can start to own that and create that little by little, each night, each season, and chip away at that over time. So the holiday is what you want, not just what everyone else wants and thinks it should be. So this is a call of empowerment with boundaries and with your own inner wisdom, your own guidance, your own presence, your own experience, your own knowledge of yourself and your kids, who you know yourself and your kids better than anyone else does. Use all of that knowledge to make this holiday season as joyful and meaningful as possible, so we can reduce the stress, the reactivity, the conflict, and keep it focused on the things that we all think about in the holidays, which is enjoying one another and being grateful. All right, I'm going to pause here for a moment. And I am going to encourage you guys either to comment for us to see. I just see hello. I see more friendly faces and people that I know and care about. Good to see you. So any ideas, thoughts to share, questions that we can kick around together? Don't be bashful. You can actually, another thing that we could do here to be together is feel free to type in the most stressful part of your holiday, generally. I say make different plans for next year. We need to have this conversation a little earlier. I think most people can relate. All right, we have a raised hand. Elizabeth, let's see.
Oh, sorry. I undid it.
Gary, go for it.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, sure. I just thought one thing I feel like keeps coming up. It came up at Thanksgiving and now it's coming up at Christmas is there's people we really want to see and they feel like the only way to do that is like in a loud restaurant, which is not an option for us. And trying to kind of explain that and get around that and change that. For some reason, that seems to be the one accommodation that people in our life have really struggled with. I just was curious if there's strategies on how to get around those things or how to explain things to people in a way they might understand a little better. Just because we want to be able to see the grandparent type people and stuff, but trying to do it in a way that is not going to end in a meltdown would be really nice.
Isn't that nice? Okay, question for you. Let me ask you a few questions.
Sure.
Let's just say grandparents, hypothetically.
Yeah.
I'm guessing they have an experience of your kids melting down as well?
No, because he really mostly does it when he's home. Like, does that make sense? It'll be like later and after that everything. He'll just mask and build up. Restaurants, he sometimes has to leave. Does that make sense? I usually just have him leave a restaurant before it gets crazy. You know what I mean? If we're in there and it's overstimulating and I'll start to see the signs. So I try to prevent it from happening. Right. That's only happened like once or twice. And so I try to just prevent it.
Okay. So, because there's it's just
building up resiliency to be in those situations short term. Or I don't know. I don't want to be avoiding situations, but I also just want to be realistic,
Yeah, you're asking the right things and you're handling it really well. So I want to just pan back for a second because there are many kids that actually do blow up at the big family things and at the restaurants, and then the relatives can be very judgmental and condescending, and so then they see it, and in that case for people it's trying to gain a little empathy from the folks and say for the next time, as you've noticed, this tends to happen. I'm wondering if we can find a different venue where it'll be less likely to happen. And understand if it can't, we just might have to leave a little earlier. So that's one scenario. Your scenario is you're trying to prevent the aftermath, which I fully understand.
And it's almost like the opposite thing where it's people are like, who just see us once a year or twice a year. And it's like, everything will be fine. He's fine. He's fine. Does that make sense? A dismissiveness of, and no matter what you say, it's like, it'll be fine, and it's just a not understanding, but they're people who were not around all the time. Right. So.
Right. As we say, the only people who understand are the people who understand. And so there's often more of the people that don't understand because they haven't experienced it or they just can't hold that option, or it's more from the, pick up your bootstraps, suck it up sort of mentality.
There's nothing wrong with somebody. It's like, I'm not saying things wrong. I'm just saying this is the reality. There's nothing wrong with them at all. It's just, this is the sensitivities, right? So, yeah.
So there's a couple ways to do it. One way is you try to, without saying it directly, you just try to move the ship. hey, I was wondering if we can have people over. I wonder if we can meet at the park. I wonder if we could do something different. And you just say it. You try to do it without saying the why. You just try to change the environment for your own good, because there aren't people who are going to be receptive. Another way over time, if we're trying to chisel away, is say, hey, is this vulnerability? And which is like, I was wondering if we could do something different. Those are always really fun. And it tends to be that we need to leave a little earlier because of certain sensitivities and regulation, or it's also really difficult after. So just wondering if we might be able to try something different. Now, that takes a lot of courage, because we know that some people just are very dismissive of that. So that's another way of trying to give some insight and actually educate about our child. And the third way is doing exactly what you are doing, is you look at the signs and you're just trying to like have the experience and then leaving and trying to minimize the meltdown. And how old is your child that we're referring to?
8 years old.
8, right. So I can say from both personal and clinical experience, it generally gets much better with age. And it's those earlier years that it's harder. So it's not like this will necessarily always be, but if you're like, we can't do this forever, it's then choosing. It's like, okay, we're going to try this one time this year, and then we'll see, like we're just going to do it because we need to see these people and no one is budging. It generally gets better. And you do have to like look when the eyes start to go and you see the signs and just like come in like a superhero and get them out. And I know that's not ideal.
Okay. No, that's helpful. And it's also helpful to know that it kind of just changes over time. So just try it every now and then and see how much the tolerance changes over time. It sounds like too. Okay.
It will.
Cool. Thank you.
Yeah. Thank you. All right. I see many questions. Let's see. Wisdom to share regarding using the holiday time to catch up with the list of all the things, work projects, home improvements, work that you have been putting off, and making space for just being. Yes, space for just being. Well, okay. So if I'm reading it right, there's a little contradiction there or paradox there. I am all for the catching up on stuff, which I will call a doing thing. And then there's space for just being, which is kind of just hanging out and even blowing off the stuff that's hanging over your shoulders. And so I feel like one needs to be very particular about which one you're going to do. The doing one, catching up on stuff, which is nice to do if you have the time or carve out the time, or the being, which you're just hanging out. You're going for walks, you're playing games, you're watching TV together, you're in the same room as your child, even when they're playing a video game, and you are reading. I'd call those more of the beings. I would be very purposeful about it, because what I find personally is when I have the idea of doing both, they get combined, and I get frustrated because I'm wanting to catch up on stuff while I'm wanting to be. And so I'm not being with my kids in the same presence I want to have. So I'm not as productive, and then I'm frustrated. And then I'm not fully being with them because I'm thinking about, I just need to finish cleaning the garage, like my tool area. Like, gosh, I only have 3 more days before Monday. So I would say they're both great things to do, and you just have to be very intentional and purposeful with it. And you can even say it out loud to your family. Like, hey, I would like to have this part of the day or this day to do this. And I also want to carve out this much time that we as a family can do this, or one-to-one. Sometimes with the whole family is stressful. Sometimes you need to just break out parts of the family. So my suggestion is to be intentional about it and not deceive ourselves or try to do it both at the same time, because you'll just be frustrated and you won't fully achieve either of them. We struggle with balancing my PDA son's need for control, safety, and also meeting the needs for his siblings at the same time. Yeah, who to decorate, want to decorate, participate. So next year we won't get a tree or get one for each of the siblings. Yes. Okay. So for folks, and I fully expected some PDA questions, because it definitely comes into play. Well, we know with many things, but particularly holiday season. So for folks who aren't familiar with PDA, that's stands for pathological demand avoidance, which is a rather severe sounding term. I want to come at it with a place of empathy. So what it really means is in this case, the child has a extreme avoidance and reaction to any demands that are placed on them. So this is beyond the, no, I'm not going to, you can't make me. It's like anything that is asked, those that just have this characteristic, this profile, describe it as, when I'm asked, I literally can't get myself to do it. I have to do like the opposite. I just can't. And so this is when there is a lot of individualization. And yes, over time, we want to help the individual be able to respond to a demand, to be more flexible. But we also know a primary tenet of parenting and teaching and working with individuals of any age on the PDA spectrum is choice. We want to give them choice so they can step into something because they feel they have choice, they have agency. So in these situations, it is often recommended that, again, people on the outside will look in with judgment, like you are just, placating them. All of those very frustrating and insensitive things. Is sometimes these kids get their own tree to decorate, and it's a conversation with the other siblings, of course, understanding their sibling has these differences, has these challenges, they live with it, and so explaining it to them, and also like, are you comfortable with us doing our tree together, which is our ultimate goal, with now your brother or sister having this tree to their own, or we're going to take two cars, or you know what, mom or dad or whichever partner, we might stay home this one, or we might split halfway and we'll be with you half the time and the other one's going to be with you half the time. It's really about trying to find a way to reduce the ultimate meltdowns, which ruin it for everyone, the extreme meltdowns, and have a way where people can have their own joy in their own way. And I'm happy to respond more if there's something individual in that your situation that I have not addressed. One more question is in the chat. Our grandparents have all moved out of state for retirement, and it's really tough to travel, crowded airports, long flights for my autistic son, all while knowing the importance for him to build social connections. That is really hard. I'm, without knowing this individual situation, yes, yes, we would like him to be able to do that over time, but we also can understand, given the profile, like why that would be very difficult and very triggering from a sensory perspective and just overload. So I feel like there's a couple things. Well, it's great if grandparents every once in a while can come to you, given the circumstances and given their health situation. But this is also where what we're doing here helps. Like the screens, these virtual connections are meaningful connections. So I know, so for example, I'll use Lynn, our office manager here. Her granddaughter lives out of state. They are communicating all the time through FaceTime. They have weekend breakfasts together. They celebrate birthdays together. They are together all the time on screen. And so when they do see each other, which is not as much as she would like, they are fully connected. So I just want to say that the screens and the research about screens and connection, like when we're actually connecting, not just like playing a game or scrolling or responding to social media, I'm talking connections, they are real connections. So I would say to really try to use that and maximize those experiences and not feel like it's not legitimate, because it is. And it is, it got many of us through COVID with our families, and it continues to get many people who are geographically just can't be together. Any other thoughts, comments? Anything to share? Carrie.
I just was going to share, we just did the airplane thing twice, and some of the airports around here have sensory rooms. Like San Francisco actually doesn't have as much overhead things now. I never thought SFO would be better, but it actually was great. And San Jose has those little sunflower things. And I also realized like you can just go up and say, my kid we need to board first during the like disability group thing on Southwest or whatever, and they'll let you do it. And it made a really big difference. We use headphones. We try to take lots of breaks. And then the other thing I found we have to do, which I never would have done traveling for decades before this, is take 1 or 2 days on either end to just like chill, you know. And sometimes we even land and go to a hotel and then go see people or something, right? So anyway, those have kind of helped us. It's not saying it's perfect or for every kid, but those are some strategies we've used.
Thank you for that. And you've built in recovery time, right? Like at the beginning and the end.
But not by choice, but by, by necessity.
By
I'm
necessity.
like, we could have stayed another day, but it really it makes a big difference. It's the only way. Yeah.
Yes. Thank you. Yeah, and this is just also to reiterate how you all know your kids and family best and yourself best, and you really need to honor it and have the courage to act on it. It doesn't matter what other people think. It just doesn't matter what other people think. I got some wisdom from a recent podcast guest. He was 27. Beyond his years, just well beyond his years. And he had a difficult time and struggled with mental health during COVID in college. And one of the things that he emerged with, and what he does with his art and his writing, is he said there are no rules. And so here's this 27-year-old teaching this 55-year-old about how the world works. And it's really stayed with me, this idea that there are no, like, these rules. There's a lot of, there are, yes, some rules that we can't do bad things and there's consequences, but outside of these major things, there's all these rules that we are programmed with from our society, from our family, from our culture, from our geography. And then we internalize them as in these are things that we have to follow. And so I give to you, like, there are no rules. Like, you can do this any way that works for you and your family and actually own it rather than have shame about it. And Carrie, thank you for offering that to us. Kind of like, this is what we do. And this is how we get it to work. And it's not ideal, but obviously it's working well enough for you to do it. You could adjust at some other point. So really, it's for everyone, just own it. Trust yourself. Okay. Sensory. We have a sensory avoider child and sensory seeker child. Of course, that's how it always goes. So we try to balance the energy when it gets overwhelming for each, and at the same time, remaining compassionate to the other. It sometimes feels hard to make it work. Yeah, thank you. Yes, so for those of you, so sensory seeking and sensory avoidant. So people who are sensory seeking are the ones that need the touch. They need to grab, they need to hug, they need to like touch everything. They need to be in your personal space. They run towards the roar. They run towards the metaphoric fire. And then those who are sensory avoidant, it's the complete opposite, right? They just need space. They need to be under a couch. They need to be under a pillow. They need to isolate, move away when anything gets overwhelming. And so anytime there's a celebration, anytime there's a loud place, a store, a mall, a restaurant, you're going to see, like, imagine these two completely different prototypes, right? One is kind of melting and trying to disappear, and the other one is touching everything, grabbing everything. And this might be an overstatement for your situation, Lisa, but that's just for everyone. So it is about honoring uniqueness, right? It's about honoring the uniqueness of each child and where they are developmentally. And then again, over time, is to remember, often there's no like prediction of when, these things tend to moderate a bit. So like when I talk to the adults of these kids who were like one of these kids, like you're so overstimulated, can you go to a cocktail party? Like, yes, I can now. You know, I never could have done that when I was a kid, but um, I can go, I can stay in the corner. I know how many people I can talk to and for how long, and then I know when I need to leave, but I can do it now. Like I can tolerate it. So these things do change over time. And again, with our kids who had different of these sensitivities too, I can say that it changed from year to year, but we really had to honor. And when we didn't honor, we paid the price. And you're often doing a zone defense, as they say. It's like you're just trying, or one-to-one. One's taking one, one's taking the other, two cars, but really trying to honor each of their unique profiles so they can have a good experience. And what is a good experience for one child can be a terrible experience for the others. Okay, any questions from those who have popped on? We're in the winding down question phase or comment phase or just connecting phase of how to stay present in the holidays. Presence over presence. Being fully here in the moment with awareness of your inner world so you can be grounded and not react to your environment. All right. Is there anything before we stop that is an itch that needs to be scratched? Is something that has not been said? Is something that I did say that you don't necessarily agree with and you'd like clarification or have a different take on something? All is welcome before we sign out. I'm trying to think of a way thanks for the hand clapping, Elizabeth. I'm trying to think of a way as we wind down, if there's any way, something we can put in the chat, just to share, just to have the shared experience. Okay, if you guys could be so bold, because we're not looking at anyone. If you're comfortable putting in the chat the percent that the concepts resonate with your experience, just so we can see. I'm curious as to where that will give me good feedback in terms of what resonates and what doesn't from your own experience. And for those others, just to see that you're not alone. So if you're comfortable, please put a number percentage in the chat that the concepts resonate with your experience. I got a 50. I mean, I didn't get a 50. There's a 50%. 70, 80, 80, 95, 80, 80. Okay, guys, we're in the ballpark. 85, 90. All right, we have a shared human experience for the holidays. Okay, one more chat thing, if you wish. I want you to put an intention for what you want for this holiday season for you and your family, or you or your family. Doesn't matter. One intention, you're putting it out there. When we type it or write it, it puts it into the universe and it makes it real. Nice memories. Connect in meaningful ways with loved ones. More truly downtime with kids, walks in nature. Intention, something fun and joyful for every family member. Acceptance of just being and not feeling restless. I relate to and would love all of those as well. I'll put mine out here. Mine is, I definitely want to remain present and practice presence during all of the festivities, celebrations, and connections. And I will be, I'll finish and actually I'll be thinking about all of you as I'm trying to practice what we are talking about. Ashley.
Oh, sorry. I was practicing. I couldn't. I'm joining the meeting with my phone, so I lost a lot of the tools. I couldn't type anything. I feel today's material. I feel 90%. Like
Wonderful.
right.
And what's your intention? What's your intention for this holiday season?
I would like to be more present and have a better connection with my child. Right now, he's in the teenage boy age, and he shared with me that he came across the PDA. He felt that his profile matched a lot of with that description. So he told me when I asked him question, it just throw him off. I would like to understand more how to communicate with him and be there for him without annoying him.
Yes. So just we know the teenage years can be, things can kind of change that. And for him to say that he thinks he identifies with the PDA, which is like being, reacting to everything that people are asking him. And we know those are also sensitive years. I can say, so there is a lot online. There's a PDA, national and international associations that have a lot of information. And we also have, some of my colleagues here at Summit Center are experts on PDA. So they consult, they do like a hour consultation to help give some strategies and to help you with the relationship. So that's also an option as well.
Yes, thank you. That's actually the online Facebook PDA group. The North America PDA group is actually how I found the summit
Wonderful.
therapy. I am hesitating I think I will reach out to our local office, the summit or local office, was it Cerritos? But I just need to find a better strategy how to approach to my son. Otherwise, he's very resistant.
Understood. Well, wishing you a good holiday.
Thank you very much for hosting this.
Yeah. Thank you, everyone. I wish you all the best. And just remember that this is a cultivation. We have to cultivate presence every day, every moment. And just to remember when we get off, which we're going to do, even beyond the holidays, plenty of things throughout our day and out our lives that can get us off of our presence and in a more reactive or future mindset. And it's always just about coming back to it. It's coming back to it and getting more and more aware and used to and comfortable with the feeling of when you are feeling that you are grounded and present, so you can show up as the best version of yourself and be kind to yourself when you're not. Take care.